welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. Welcome to the family. We chose this one. This is episode 348, Life in the Fast Lane, number 25. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe, too.
And Joe, we are so close to, it feels insane.
What?
That there's a full minute of basically just goodbyes in Too Fast, Too Furious.
Yeah,
but
you were giving us a heads up last time that you were like, oh, it's probably like 30 seconds of things and then 30 seconds.
I knew that there was one full minute, and then the next minute we do in 3 weeks will be 30 seconds of movie and 30 seconds of credits. But I didn't really, I know what's in the minute, but let's just play the audio and we'll talk about it.
He'll be out. No, for real. You think he getting out, though?
Hey, we took care of your decoys. They're free and clear. There's a sedan out on the road for you. Try to bring it back in one piece.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Bilkins. You all right?
Thanks.
Thanks for looking out, man.
All right.
So you trust me now?
You all right?
Oh, sorry. Nice working with you, O'Connor.
Same here. Yeah, I'm gonna have to stay out here in Miami, man. Keep you out of trouble, bruh. You know what I'm talking about.
You gonna kick it in Miami, bro?
So in this minute, Brian and Roman talk about Carter coming back to get Roman, continuing their conversation from the previous minute. Bilkins and Monica Fuentes thank Brian and Roman for their hard work. Bilkins tells them he's left a sedan on the road for them to use to leave. As Bilkins and Monica walk away, she turns around and seductively eyes Brian and smiles. Brian smiles back. Roman tells Brian he's going to have to stay in Miami to help keep Brian out of trouble as the minute ends. It's really just a minute of saying, hey, you did good. Thanks. They're like, hey, you did good too. Thank you.
And sexy eye flirting.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a lot of that.
It's wild.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I'm sure that I've brought this up before, but we're 100 minutes deep, so sure.
Mm-hmm.
Does Eva Mendes have a type? And is it like cute, blue-eyed, blonde-haired boy?
Curly-haired boys.
No, but like blue-eyed white
boys.
boys.
You mean Gosling in real life and Paul Walker in this movie?
Because their like seductive eye love in this scene is so palpable. Like I don't even think it's acting. Like I think like at this part of the movie, like Eva Mendes like is like Paul Walker's a babe.
Well, this is just a continuation of your belief that Brian and Roman, that Paul and Tyrese were just out fucking around every night. Like they might have,
No, I'm saying specifically Paul Walker and Eva Mendes. Do you think they were a thing on set?
No, but I just think that you have this podcast-long theory that the Too Fast set was specifically a crazy place to be.
Horny on set, not the movie,
okay.
Just on set or
so here's, I'm looking at
set.
Eva Mendes' personal life on Wiki, okay? She began dating music producer George Augusto in 2002, which is really the same year they shot this movie, so...
Hey, that's not like married to, and even then, that's not like.
I'm saying she could have banged around with Brian, with Paul, and then been like, "This is fun. Movie's over. I'm going to go with this guy now."
I banged around. Can you say that again?
I stole that from Jimmy Pardo. That's not a funny thing, but yes.
Okay.
They broke up in 2011.
Okay.
In 2008, in the middle of that, she entered a rehab center in Utah to address a dependency problem related to drugs and alcohol. I did not know that. So they break up. She breaks up with George Augusto 3 years after that in 2011. In September of that year, she begins dating Ryan Gosling shortly after they filmed Place the Gosby on the Pines. They had daughters in 2014.
So she has a history of dating actors that she works with, by the way. Can we establish that?
Is that a history? That just happened. Also, it's Ryan Gosling. So
this is Paul Walker.
Yeah, it's true. This is only her 6th movie or 7th movie. Her first movie, Children of the Corn 5...
Interesting first movie.
Charlize Theron's first movie, Children of the Corn 3.
Well, there we go.
It's just are you one of the most beautiful women to walk on the planet? Can you want to be just a weird extra character in this movie?
In a Children of the Corn movie?
She's in one scene in I haven't seen 5. I've only seen 3. I've never seen the other ones. But Charlize is just in a church, they're having a ceremony, and they keep cutting to her because they're She is so beautiful. And she has no line. She's just like sitting there, and they keep cutting back to like her like reacting to everything. Just like, this woman is so beautiful. We need her
Some
in this
cameraman was like, "Oh my god," and they were like, "We got to use this."
So she was also then, just looking to get to it too fast, A Night of the Roxbury, playing a bridesmaid, okay. My Brother the Pig, I don't know what that movie is. Urban Legends Final Cut, another horror movie. She was in your beloved Exit Wounds, which you talked about recently.
I fucking love Exit Wounds, yes.
That same year, she was in Training Day. I think she has a sex scene maybe with Denzel. Then in 2002, All About the Benjamins. And then in 2003, it's Too Fast, Once Upon a Time in Mexico, Out of Time, and Stuck on You. And then 2 years later is Hitch, and so on and so forth. But yeah, so she's having a time.
You
Does she
didn't
have a
answer
type?
my question.
Maybe.
Your answer is maybe.
Probably. I mean, look, is it a type, or is it just her type is the most handsome men to ever have walked the planet?
And she's fucking gorgeous. So,
Yeah.
like, yeah, you're right. Sexy people, right?
Yes.
'Kay.
Hurt people, and sexy people.
Exactly.
I don't know if they're our favorite detectives. They might be in the background behind Brian and Roman in like 1 or 2 shots, but basically every extra in this entire scene is just like, well, we've been told to pack it up and go home. They're all just like putting things away and getting into cars and walking away.
They might actually be like production people's cleaning up the set. That's how much they're putting
Let's
stuff
get a
away.
jump on things.
Yeah.
Let's not wait till we finish shooting. Let's just start cleaning up while we're actually filming the movie.
Yeah, that's what it feels like to me sometimes.
I didn't notice in the last minute 99, the previous minute, but Brian's right eyebrow area is like particularly bruised and banged up.
I 100% noted this and wanted to bring it up to you as
Was
well.
it this way in the last minute or no?
I don't remember, so possibly.
I'm gonna open it up right now because like I think we so focused on Roman's arm, but like we would have seen
They just put like dirt above his right eyebrow.
Yeah.
It makes sense that he would like have hit his head, but it's not swollen. It's just like they sprinkled dirt on it.
It is banged up in the previous minute, but we're never super close to his eye. Like we zoom in close to it as we cut to Roman getting the money out of the trunk.
Okay.
This is just like, and then like,
But
it's
I
from
noticed it
afar.
too. Yeah.
But yeah, it's much more noticeable, and it kind of like it wiggles a little bit from scene to scene in terms of how bruised and how banged up it is. But like that was his injury.
I guess. Not swollen, just
Not
brush
yet.
burn. Just mild brush burn that looks like it's 6 days old.
My
Yeah.
only other real note about this, because Monica's holding a thick silver clipboard, one of those classic like police clipboard,
and
whatever things.
she's in a very sexy pose holding the clipboard too, which I really liked. They were
It'll
like,
probably
hold
be the
this.
episode art because there's nothing else in this episode this minute.
They're like, hold this clipboard as sexy as you could hold a clipboard, and she's like, got it, and she does that, and I was like, wow, I've never thought about sexy clipboard holding, but alas, we're here.
It's just very funny to me to see like this conversation going on where it's like a nothing conversation, just like literally wrapping up the movie, and in the background it's just a car on a boat, just like
Yes.
crash into a boat. It's like, okay, we're just
still
hanging.
sitting there, yeah.
But what did you notice? Is there anything of note? Because really, it is just them saying goodbye to one another for a full minute.
Yes, I noticed that there is a second ambulance, and that is the Miami-Dade Fire Rescue Ambulance, which would make sense with the boat being on the car on the boat, possibly. That would make sense, right?
Yep.
And then I felt like a giant idiot watching this minute because I had assumed that everything around them that was wooden were just pallets.
Oh, I see what you have here. I had a different idea, but go ahead. Explain what you think it is.
So then I looked, and as Roman and Brian come around that corner, there's like this like hole in the middle of them, and I was like, "Are these wooden fire pits? That doesn't make any sense."
That's what I was thinking. Yeah,
So that doesn't make any sense.
but it looks like the top middle silver part is burned.
Yes, in reality, based on what we know from the location, which is Jimbo's Shrimp Shack, as we learned, I think that they're probably wooden shrimp traps. But alas, I Googled and looked, and they don't. So I didn't find any that looked like this because these look like they are made out of pallets. But based on the meth story that we learned from Jimbo's Shrimp Shack, they very
Yes.
well could have been made of pallets by Jimbo in his Shrimp Shack.
Okay.
So there is kind of like a hole in the middle of these things. They look like they're made out of pallets. At first thing I thought was that they're like weird wooden fire pits. That wouldn't make any sense. Why would they have 700 of them in this yard? But then with like, there's kind of like netting, and one of them has like a buoy inside of it at one point as they come around the corner. I'm making a stand here, even though I put a question mark in the document, that I think that these are wooden shrimp traps.
I mean, it makes sense that they are wooden shrimp traps. The thing that I was most thinking was like the fire. I mean, it doesn't make sense as a fire pit. Like you wouldn't put like fire that close to just exposed wood.
That's what I'm saying.
It also looks like kind of like a bench that you would like sit on like next to a fire, but you wouldn't sit that close to a fire. Like none of it.
And why would you
really
put a
makes...
hole in the middle of that thing?
Right. I mean, I didn't think shrimp trap, but
maybe it kind of seems like a lobster trap more than anything. But I don't know if they catch lobsters in Florida. One, because I just don't know, and two, we know that they're at
lobsters
Jimbo's
are cold water.
Exactly. There's Gulf lobsters too, though. You can get Mexican lobsters. I know that for sure. But that's not the Gulf.
No.
They look like they'd be too big for shrimp. I don't know. They look like some kind of fishing equipment. At best, we can call them fishing equipment. But based on all the other things that I know, I think that they might be shrimp traps.
I think it's a good sense of reading the room and remembering that we're at Jimbo's Shrimp Shack and assuming that they are in some way, some form or other, shrimping equipment.
I think so, yes.
Is there anything else you noticed in this minute?
No, I think I went over it. I forgot that I didn't, like, I don't think that I labeled the bus, so I added the bus to this minute, got a license plate, got a number off a cop car. Simple stuff. There's no like actual products or things, so no.
I was very, very struggling to come up with a question.
I had one. I like yours. I'll tell you mine. We want to hear mine first, or do you want to read yours first? I was going to say, what does Bilkins pull out of his pocket as he's walking away?
Oh, I didn't even make a note of that. What does he pull out? His
sunglasses.
Oh.
It could be a pen. It could be his sunglasses. It could be his car keys. Because it doesn't say which pocket. It's his front pocket.
I mean, I think whatever question we're going to do is going to be a bullshit question. Like mine
I agree. Yours is bullshit
question,
too, yeah?
I know. Mine is as Brian, Roman,
that wasn't judgmental. I was just saying.
No. There's nothing memorable in this. As Brian, Roman, Monica, and Bilkins say goodbye, they overwhelmingly use one word to describe the caliber of one another's character. What word is that? And they say, all right.
Nah, it's I.
Well, Bilkins says, all right. Roman says, you aight. And then there's one other one, and Brian says, you're all right. Roman's the only one who says aight, but the other, Brian says it, Bilkins says it, Roman says it, Monica does not, but it feels like, well, we don't have any other words we could say. It's just, all right, you're all right.
It's so funny when we watch this movie because we're it's so fast and so breezy, and then we hit minutes like this, and there's nothing happens in this minute.
I wonder if we're going to these longer movies. I mean, I don't know. I think doing any of this for any movie ever is going to make everything feel slow. Maybe not Tokyo Drift, we'll see. But
can you imagine how long the Pete Davidson scene is going to be in
that's
Fast
4
10?
minutes, probably.
No, it's 6.
So if it's 6 minutes, that's 18 weeks. That's 4.5 months of this show just talking about the Pete Davidson scene. As you're zooming in to read his Discord chats on the screen.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
By the time we get to Fast 10, we'll have 16K resolution, everything. You'd be like, oh, I could read everything crystal clear.
That'll be pretty interesting. You're right. I mean, they're all probably shot in 8K right now, right?
They're all shot in 8K. They're down converted to 4K.
Yeah,
yes.
That's what I thought. Yeah, the red cameras are all 8K now. Yep. So
I think some shot stuff shot in 10 or 12, but most I think is 8 down converted to 4, even for theaters.
Yeah. So okay. So we're at that point we're gonna have the 8K release of this.
Well, yes. Movie
you know what I mean?
8K, yeah. Mm-hmm. We'll have all new gear, all new monitors, all new hardware.
We're gonna be using the Apple masturbator, the headset. We're gonna be using that.
Pro?
Yeah, we're gonna be using that. We could just finger zoom into Pete Davidson. We can count his beard hairs or something.
You got dibs on that. Do you want to do Bilkins pulling out? I didn't even make note of Bilkins pulling out the sunglasses. That was even maybe too minute for me. I don't love my question, but like I didn't even notice the sunglasses. So
I don't know. Either one. You could flip a coin for it. It doesn't really matter to me, to be honest. Do you have a coin?
I'm gonna Google flip a coin. All right, tails is me, heads is you.
I'm glad you called mine. Thanks.
What do you mean? Well, I just said tails is me, and it got tails.
There you go. We'll use yours. That's fine.
It's also mine's already written, so it just makes everybody's
Yeah,
life
also
easier.
easier too. Exactly.
Now the real question is, what do you want to call this minute? Something about sexy eyes, but that's not. I don't know. Oh, the other answers that I have are real, solid, strong, and true. Do you want to change any of those?
I think you could get rid of strong, real, solid, and true. Oh, what should we call this minute? Call it wooden fire pits.
Okay. I do like that we got multiple in two different places last episode of this. People being like, "Was that a typo?" When I saw the episode get downloaded, I thought that was a typo.
I did.
And then they were like, "But Joey wouldn't have made that mistake." And then they got to the thing in the episode. They're like, "Oh, you even talk about him making a mistake." Okay, cool. So,
Yes.
7 hats in the bag. Minute 100 wooden fire pits as Brian, Roman,
dumbest
Monica,
fucking
and
title
Bilkins say goodbye. They overwhelmingly use one word to describe the caliber of one another's character. What word is that? The answer is all right.
The titles might be my favorite part of this, just because like I want to read, but like yeah, they're so fucking stupid.
And other than taking out profanity, like I don't say no to anything because like
yeah,
it's just whatever you wanted to make it. Let's do it.
it's just like it's just like the dumbest shit ever. Like this is so stupid. Ah, okay, that's
Anything
beautiful.
else to say about this minute?
No, not at all. Well, you shouldn't make a fire pit out of wood. That's what I have to say about this
Well,
minute.
yeah.
Probably not the best idea.
This is going to be maybe a breezy episode because there's not much going on. There's on
That's
the
fine.
streets news about the Fast and Furious. Gal Gadot had a baby.
Oh, congratulations, boy or girl?
My sweet girl, welcome. The pregnancy was not easy, and we made it through. You have brought so much light into our lives, lighting up your name, Ori, which means my light in Hebrew. Our hearts are full of gratitude. Welcome to the House of Girls. Girl emoji, girl emoji. Daddy is pretty cool too. Winking emoji, heart emoji. The top comment, just prayer hands. Vin Diesel, 14,000 likes.
That's so incredible. I wonder. I'm glad that she came out of her complicated pregnancy all right. Good
Yep.
job, gal. Mm-hmm. How does she spell Ori?
Ori. There's actually a video game called Ori. There's a couple Xbox games. Ori and the Will. Like it's like stuff but it's light based. I never knew what Ori meant. Hold on, let's just see here. Ori and the Blind Forest, and Ori and the Will of the Wisps. But they're just cool like little platformer games for Xbox. So Ori, I guess, meaning light. So they have 4 daughters.
Oh wow, Jesus.
Her husband, Jaron Varsano, posted a picture of him and Gal in bed with all their 4 daughters. And then she posted again on the beach, just an old picture because she's, not pregnant in this picture. My happy place. And the top comment on that is, you are a solid 10, but you already know that. Get out of here, Mike Rotide.
She's not gonna sleep with you, bro.
So I was going to say this before,
What?
when we were talking about her career. Ava Mendes, I saw this today on Bing. Ava Mendes reveals why she stopped acting after having children with Ryan Gosling. I've not read this yet.
Oh,
It's probably nonsense.
please.
It's probably just like, I want to be at home with my kids.
Yeah.
During an
Like,
episode
I have
of
money.
Today,
I'm
Yeah.
bored. I'm fine.
During an episode of Today, which aired on March 26th, Mendes spoke candidly about her longtime relationship with Gosling, whom she met shortly before they both starred in The Place Beyond the Pines. They called it the hit film. Don't know if it was a hit.
It wasn't really a hit. We
According
liked
to the
it.
actor, after she and Gosling welcomed their 2 daughters, Esmeralda 9 and Amada 7, she knew it was the right decision to take a step back from Hollywood. Quote, it was like a no-brainer. I'm so lucky. And I was like, if I could have this time with my children. Before noting she still works, she just, quote, didn't act anymore. Quote, because acting takes you on location, it keeps you away, she added. It was almost just like a non-verbal agreement that it was like, okay, he's going to work and I'm going to work. I'm just going to work here. He went and did his job. He just happens to be really good at his job. And he did it and he came home.
Okay. I have No comments on that.
Yeah, it's she's like
She wanted to take care of the kids. Yeah.
I want to be a mom. I love being a mom, and Gosling can provide for us.
Yeah, he's making enough money. That's totally fine and respectable. Good for you, Evan Mendez, being a part of your children's lives. That's awesome. Good for you.
The only other news
have
that
we
I
ever
have
seen
is-
them? Like, we've never seen pictures of the kids.
No,
either,
I think they're
like
like
scrubbed, like
Yes.
hidden. Okay, cool.
The only other thing that I have, and this is actually news about the Fast and Furious, this is from fandomwire.com. I don't know what this website is. I think Rocket tweeted this.
He did.
Universal execs are begging Vin Diesel to get rid of John Cena and Jason Statham to bring down the $250 million demand for Fast 11, reports. Vin's Fast 10 budget ballooned out of proportion to a whopping $340 million with an unimpressive return for Universal. They now want to cut down his $250 million ask. So he's only asking for $250. They want too much. And they want to cut pricey stars like John Cena and Statham out of the franchise to save the budget. But Rocco was just like, does it mean Cena's not dead? But like they could just have flashbacks, right? Like they could just, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, we know that part, but I agree. I like Rocket's take of like, does this mean that John Cena was planned to be in it? I think that we could probably, like, literally us two could probably strong arm Universal into making that not happen. Like, all Vin needs to do is come out and be like, Universal's not going to let me have Cena in the and people will just riot. Like, not even just us. You know what I mean? Like, it's just going to be like, nope, pay them, and they'll do it. Can we just demand right now that we do not want to see a version of this movie without Cena and Statham?
Yeah.
We can start the campaign right now.
Yeah.
How about, and like hashtag Universal Monsters for not paying John Cena and Jason Statham.
Okay, the monsters that made us
The budget.
mad.
The budget. The monsters that made the budget. Universal monsters that made the budget.
I'm also wondering now, if we are only getting one movie, if Cena would be in it because it's like the interquel, and also we were going to, in theory, have Fast 10, then we're going to have the interquel where we see The Rock, we see Hobbs against Dante.
Yeah, that was in between. It was
That catches
10,
us
sorry,
up.
yeah, 10 and then 10B.
10B, and then
10XI.
Well, XI
II.
would be the final one. So who knows? But I'm wondering if like Cena would be in the interquel where like scenes where he's not with Dom, maybe he's with Hop. I don't know.
I'm unsure too. I don't know what their plan is, but apparently, we'll talk about that when we talk about the next thing. So,
Vin Diesel's 56 years old.
is he?
Quote, Universal execs are begging Vin to figure out how to make this movie substantially cheaper. A source dished to the National Enquirer.
Okay.
Who
In
knows?
between robot babies and
Yeah.
Batman sightings.
Insiders allege Diesel, quote, wants to make the biggest Fast movie ever, and he's taking his case to the fans with the social media updates. Yeah, he's just doing the thing. He's just like, don't you guys want to see all of our family back? It's like, yeah, we do.
we absolutely do. And the funniest part is he can do that and start a riot. Like I said, like I was like, I think that we could single-handedly change this thing. Like all Vin needs to do is come out and tweet like or Instagram post like, bye John Cena, sorry that you were a budget cut, and then Universal would be like, fuck, and like have to pay him, right?
The source says, quote, it's a clever strategy, but he's alienating the executives who made him rich. They're like, he knows what he's doing, but he's also pissing some people off.
I mean, I think he's done that for like the past
Yeah.
5 of these, essentially.
Quote, Vin has to prove to the studio that fans will show up in huge numbers to witness the end of the saga.
If it's the end, people are gonna see it. Especially if they're like, this is the last Fast. But they can ride that too. It could be like Kiss. Like they could be on like the last Kiss tour for
Yeah.
for 30 years. It doesn't matter if they're like, this is actually the final one.
And then they quote the Vin Diesel thing that we talked about. I think we talked about a couple episodes ago. Quote, just finished our end of the week fast meeting with the writers and whole team. To say the excitement for our finale was incredibly powerful is an understatement. Wow, so exciting. While everyone was heading to the weekend amped and excited, I thought of you all, reminded of the countless moments when your enthusiasm and passion became the driving force behind our creative journey. Your commitment to our saga has had a unique impact on its success and evolution. As my youngest daughter would say, it's profound. Thank you for being the backbone of this global saga that, because of you, transcends the screen. The grand finale is not just an ending, it's a celebration of the incredible family we've built together. Hope to make you proud. I thought it'd be funny if he's like, the grand finale is not just an ending, it's also a beginning to the reboot. But no. If 10 was 340 is insane, and he wants 250.
Well, he also made Justin Lin leave first week, and they were sitting there for a month in Italy. So, I mean, in reality, he could probably cut it down. He needs 250. He wants more if he can get it, obviously. And like 340 was astronomical, but
Well,
it
look,
wasn't. He didn't spend 340.
It's negotiating 101. If he needs 200, he asks for 250. They say no. He's like, all right, how about 225? They're like, no. Like, all right, how about 200? Like, all right, we can do 200. But he's like, that's what I want. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
I wonder also, like, genuinely, is Dwayne Johnson Interquel?
I don't know.
Like, if they don't want Cena and Statham, I get that they are somewhat more so expendable than the core family, but like
they also can't dangle The Rock in front of us and then not have him.
They can't have Hobbs and Giselle in teasers in 10 and then not have them both in 11.
They can't. They can't.
But I mean, the good thing is that, you know, Hollywood so drastically underpays women that they can get Gal Gadot for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
They're like,
Plus,
oh,
she's
yeah,
all
women.
washed now. She has a whole house full of daughters. So
Yeah, she's got a, you know, oh boy.
yeah.
I don't know. Like,
maybe that's what it is. Maybe they're like, fuck, we have to pay The Rock, and The Rock's like, you're gonna pay me out the fucking ass to come back to this thing.
I just don't. I mean, I'm sure that like there's the budget thing, but like, and they don't want to give away points, but just like give all these guys like 1% of the box office gross or whatever. And just
No,
be
they
like,
don't even need that. It's like 0.25, some like bullshit fraction of a cent.
Well, like
and you'll still make
1% of $1 billion is $10 million.
Yeah, they're okay, but even like 0.25, by the time that it gets to like DVD release and blah blah blah,
yeah,
syndication, you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Like,
Is there any news that you've seen in the last 3 weeks?
no, absolutely not. Other than the NFL adopted the XFL's kickoff rules.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to The Rock for inventing it.
Do you think we're supposedly 13 months away from Fast 11?
And we've seen nothing other than Vin having.
They've got a date. They've got a date reserved, which Universal's probably going to swap in another movie there. But like, end of April 2025, they have Fast 11.
I don't know. I think they're probably praying for another pandemic right now, to be honest with you.
Oh boy, because then they could just make another 2 years of anticipation.
Yeah.
All you got to do is just have another party in Miami, apparently, and then that'll like doom the future movie release or whatever, right? So,
Yeah.
all right, Joe, let us now cover the season finale, which don't want to say it, but thank God it's over because it keeps. This one really feels like they didn't have enough, which is wild because like they have 3 movies to talk about.
But by the way, this episode of Icons on Earth was brought to you by NASA and the Mars Exploration Rovers. The Adventure Twin Spirit and Opportunity landed on January 3rd and 24th, 2004. Shout out to NASA. I think that this one was actually pretty good. Like,
Is NASA sponsoring this coincidentally because it's called Blast Off?
the Mars Rovers also did a lot of digging on Mars.
Oh, they unearthed Mars.
Yeah.
There's also Blast Off. The tragic death of Paul Walker creates uncertainty for the future of the franchise.
Yes,
Meanwhile,
yes. All
a
of
feud between 2 cast members would cost them another star. Also, NASA's a big rock fan.
NASA likes The Rock?
Yeah, sure,
Is
why
that
not?
Okay, sure.
Everybody is, except for Vin.
Everybody likes The Rock except for Vin. By the way, that was the thing that I did. Okay, let me get my notes out. But they kind of like skimmed over the fucking. They're like, Vin and The Rock were fighting. And you're like, yeah, we know what happened. And they're like, it was sad.
They were fighting.
And they're like, The Rock didn't want to be in any scenes with Vin. We're like, yeah, we know, but why? Like, somebody tell us what happened. And they're like, no thanks.
No, this is the issue that I have with the show, is that the closer we get to today, and especially the closer we get to when we were actually doing this show, this podcast, the less there is to, like, uncover or unearth. Like, the early stuff, like, there's so much lore and history and, like, story about the first couple of movies.
Yes,
that
yes.
Once we get to, like, 4 or 5, really, like, the last, like, 10 or 15 years, like, this show feels less important, less essential. I mean, for, like, more casual fans, I'm sure they're learning a lot. But over here, it's like, they're fighting. There's big stunts. They go to Cuba. It's like, yeah, we know.
Okay, there was some cool stuff in this one, though. Can I go through my list of cool things
Please.
that I learned?
No, I have some cool stuff, too, but I just, I just love that first episode so much that I was just kind of bummed that we never
It feels
got to
downhill
again.
for
Yeah.
you.
Mhm.
I understand. I forgot that they announced 7 or 8, 9, and 10 as a trilogy.
Yep.
That makes perfect sense, and I've always like said that they were a trilogy, but I forgot that they were like, oh yeah, we're doing 3 more of these, and we're out.
Well, they were doing 8, 9, and 10, and then all of a sudden they were like, well, 9, 10, and 11 are going to be a trilogy now. Then it's like, well, 10's going to be its own trilogy
And
now.
they're like, what about the Letty one? And like Hobbs and Shaw came out, and like, oh yeah, I get it.
Well, they also talk about the Letty one in this one, kind of.
Yeah, kind of. But like the first cool thing that we learned in this one was that when they were doing Fate, they were like, oh, we have to shoot the ice parts.
Yes.
Right? But they didn't have a script for it, so we just did ice shit. Okay? Because we had a frozen lake and it was frozen and we needed to do the ice shit.
Yeah, they went to Iceland to do this.
They're like, yeah, and so we had to have one of the actors there, so we brought Tyrese.
Well, he's the only one that we ever see out of a car.
Yeah, but it's like, wild choice, okay. And then they're like, and Tyrese hates being cold.
Yep.
So Tyrese is like, please, dear God, if you
But
can...
this does feel like the same kind of thing where, like, Roman, the character, is like, I've saved the day every single time. Like, this feels like Tyrese being like, you know what? I was there. Where were you? It's like the same kind of thing, right? It's just like...
I bet he
there,
talked
like,
so much mad shit to the rest of the cast. Like, you warm-ass motherfuckers. Like, do you know what I suffered through for this film for you? The art, the passion that I gave to be cold for a day.
Yep.
So yeah, so he hates ice, and he was the only actor to show up live and did all of his scenes in one day. And they said he was very well behaved because he wanted to get the fuck out of there, which I agree. I was like, you know what? I can relate to you, Tyrese. This is exactly what I would have done. I'd have been like, I hate doing this. Can we just all do this really, really quickly? I'll totally behave. There'll be no like fun flair. I won't dick off. We can do it in one day, right? And they're like, we can try. You're like, we'll try. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. They also talk about how they have like spikes. They're trying to use spikes to like bash up the ice a little bit and like create stunts or whatever. But
traction for the cars. Yeah.
The spikes were too big, so this cars kept going underwater, which is kind of funny. But then they when they drive Tyrese's car, Roman's car underwater, they actually had to have somebody drive it underwater. So they talked about how that seems crazy to be a stunt driver driving into a frozen lake's icy water. Like, Jesus.
Yeah, I would be absolutely terrified. See, that's like where I'm like, nope, I have to call it. Like, that's bad.
Right.
But I mean, alas, we have stunt people, and hopefully we paid them well, which I doubt we did, but awesome for them.
Mm-hmm.
I like that they really focused on the Fast and the Furious essentially being like the diplomatic crux of opening Cuba. They act as if like Vin and the Fast and the Furious were like that resolved.
Like they
years.
petitioned the White House and were like, we need as a country to go to Cuba. And then Trump was like, you know what?
Motherfuckers, I like these movies. Yeah, he's like, Melania and Barron, we're just watching Fast 7, and they want to see the sequel. So, like, we gotta let you in Cuba. Yeah, maybe. Who knows? But, like, it felt like that. But they just, like, put, like, the show itself put, like, heavy gravity that these people really were like, yeah, like, you know, there's a lot of diplomacy that happened, and like foreign relations were fixed because of the Fast and the Furious, which is, I mean, probably partially true, but hilarious to fucking think about, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Explaining how they did the car backwards thing was really cool by putting the guy on top of the car so he could drive the car.
In the Cuban Mile, yeah.
In the Cuban Mile, that was very interesting. I was like, oh, I like them like peeling back the curtain to be like, this was the trick, right? Like, this is the magician's trick here.
Yes.
Also, the more we watch this show, the more I realize that stunt guy pretty much, like, he's the fucking Fast and the Furious.
Yes. Yeah.
That guy specifically, he's like, I have some ideas. And then, like, it'll be like, oh, yeah, very memorable part of movie this guy invented. And you're like, yep, 100%. Like, because it's, like, been down, the whole show has just been, like, quietly this dude flexing on everything that he's like, flip car, like, yeah, I invented that, and like, here, this is how I did it, and like, he's like, oh, invented this camera rig to like shoot the movies, and like all of this shit. Like, give that dude all of his awards. I'm sure that he's won like a bajillion stunt awards, but like, deservedly.
I hope so.
I hope so too.
I also thought it was funny that they were like in Cuba. They're like, well, we got to Cuba and then the Cuban police gave us grief. And just like, okay, and then how'd you fix it? We gave them a ride in our car. It's like, okay.
Yeah, isn't that the most Fast and the Furious answer to that ever?
Yep.
It's like once they rode in this baby, they knew it was true, and you're like, okay, cool, whatever.
Well, what I never knew, so typically when you are trying to do something on the cheap, you do Toronto for New York, you do like Vancouver for LA, but they weren't trying to do it on the cheap. They're just trying to find a city where they could drop cars from buildings. And they're like,
keep saying it because this is like the butt of every joke that
Cleveland
I have
would
written in
let
my.
us do it, so they just did. They went to Cleveland and just dropped cars out of
Cleveland's
buildings.
a giant shithole. We could drop cars through the fucking streets in Cleveland. They're like, Baker Mayfield has the insurance for it.
Do you remember that Cleveland tourism video? And like it's all just like sad and depressing, and then it ends with, "At least we're not Detroit."
No, I didn't see.
It was like a
that.
joke thing on YouTube, like several
satire.
years ago, and it was just like all the terrible things about Cleveland that just, but like positioning it as, "Hey, come visit Cleveland," it's by the Cleveland Tourism Board or whatever, and then the tagline is just, "At least we're not Detroit."
On that note, I just have a joke that I wanted to tell you, and I'll tell you now. Browns fans are my favorite fans to just like lurk on Twitter because they are fucking delusional. Recently, they were talking about them needing a new stadium, and they had said. So I got into this thread that was like, the Browns want to build. It's like a fan being like, we should build a new stadium, and this is why. Well, whatever. And they're like, look, we need a domed stadium so we can get the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. Fucking not. It's never going to Cleveland ever.
I mean, it went to
Detroit once. Yeah,
it went to Detroit. It's gone to the Meadowlands or now MetLife or whatever. Like, it's been in weird cold weather places. Also, I think the one that was in New Jersey, like people hated. I don't know, man.
Okay, so they think that it's going to be in Cleveland, and the fans started arguing with each other, saying like, well, they plan to put it in the suburbs, okay, and they're like, nobody will have a Super Bowl here if it's in the suburbs of Cleveland. And then somebody was like, you idiots, if the people come here, of course they're going to party in downtown Cleveland, not the suburbs. It'll be great for the city. And I'm like, you're all fucking delusional. I really had a good laugh at them in bed the other night as I was reading this tweet thread of them arguing amongst each other about how the Browns would get the Super Bowl, and that just made me very happy.
Yeah.
So, LOL, they went to Cleveland because Cleveland was the only town dumb enough to let them drop cars through the fucking street. So, enjoy. Good job. Something really, really cool was the one female stunt driver, I forget her name, she mentioned that like they had these seat cushion costumes.
Yeah.
That I thought was very interesting, that they were in these costumes that kind of looked like a seat cushion and had like a little like see-through piece panel, and they would drive the cars like that, so it looked like there was nobody driving them in the zombie car thing. And I was like, oh, this is really fun.
That's very cool.
Yeah. We've often said that they miss like layups in these movies, right?
Sure.
At the time when he came back for 9, Justin didn't watch 7 or 8.
I think I missed that line. That's really funny. So they bring Statham back, and they have Statham. They have Deckard as like this hero, right, saving the baby because they want to get him on board or whatever. They don't. Also, this show does not talk about Hobbs and Shaw even once. They don't mention the fact that they have Hobbs and Shaw as a spinoff.
Yeah.
But they talk about how like they brought Statham back and everyone loves Statham, but then fans started talking about justice for Han. And they're like, and then we went to John Cena in 9. Then we went to Fast 10. It's just like, guys, slow down. Why are we racing? Like,
Yeah,
I know,
yeah.
Like this comes out before like this. The way that Chad Lindbergh and the rest of them are talking about 10, it's like this came out before because they're just like, he says literally, whatever happens with Fast 10, we don't know. It's just like, okay.
Yeah, see, what you were saying is like you were like, this feels like filler or something like that for 3 movies. And in reality, I think that they should have like pressed deeper into these. This one felt very rushed to me, considering that like some of the episodes, like episode like 3 or 4 or whatever, we were like, this is just filler. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like there should have been a balance in the editing / content / it should have been spread a little bit better. So okay.
I mean, I don't know how you do it because I think it makes sense to do one of these episodes kind of per movie, right? But like,
then you have to make 9 of them.
Ooh.
And they did that, and then they also did like themes. You know what I mean? This is like after Paul. Like this one is like themed like after Paul Walker, essentially.
They're like, no, there's no more Brian, so we've doubled down on Dom. And then Dom goes bad. It's like, okay. But it's like, it just felt obvious in a way. It just kind of bummed me out that it was just like, it was stuff that we
But
didn't
we're
really
in
know.
it. We're in it. We've already started the podcast, so like at this point, we were following along for all of a lot of these things. So
Yep.
understandable. I like that they didn't think there would be a Rent-A-Center in Georgia, the country. That's just kind of a fun
And then,
thought.
just,
And
like,
then-
they were just like walking down the street and like they took a picture of Justin and like, hey, turn around.
yeah, it's like there's a fucking Rent-A-Center. See, there you
Mm-hmm.
go. As much as we've like clowned on this, I think that the end of this actually was like perfectly encapsulated what we always say. Mm-hmm. And there's like the one writer, and he's like, the fans love these movies because they focus on character, and the character moments of these movies are like expanded on and deep, and like these are the reasons. And then they go to Tyrese, and he's like, I think that like these movies are so successful because nothing has been as diverse as the Fast and the Furious,
Right.
and like seeing people of different creeds, credences, races, whatever, all come together and like work towards a common goal is something that we can relate to. How important it is that the movie posters don't white out the movie poster, right? And like these kind of things. And I think ultimately that message at the end is a good message because it's something that I agree with and champion for the franchise all the time.
Tyrese also, I think it's Tyrese literally says people of color can have their superheroes too, right? It's just like,
Yes.
I mean, it is something that like Marvel has pivoted
Tried
somewhat,
now.
but like originally,
But the Fast and Furious was doing this in 2001.
Yes, correct.
Marvel didn't get there till what, like 5 years ago.
Well, now they have Anthony Mackie as new Cap, and like they have other stuff, and they have Miss
But now
Marvel,
it seems.
but-
But now it seems, like, not to say it, but it kind of seems like they're heading that direction, right? Like they're like trying to compensate. Where like Fast and Furious, this always just felt natural. Like this is how it started, how it feels.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel like forced or performative. It feels like that was just what they wanted and how it existed. There's something cool about that, and I'm glad that these guys succinctly put that at the end. Like this is what this means.
Definitely.
And, yeah.
I mean, I think that it's something that we have talked about a lot on here, and we've not debunked, but kind of talked about how like it might be kind of performative or it might not be, but it's still important. Like even if it's stuff that's like, or not that debunked, but like over the last handful of movies, they've only really added big white name actors as opposed to actors of color.
Yeah.
But it's still important. It's still a worthwhile thing to talk about, and a good thing that they brought up. I think it's also a nice note to end on, right? Like,
I agree.
You might have watched these 6 hours and just thought, like, you didn't watch 6 hours of the show if you're not a Fast and Furious fan, but like, you might have stumbled upon this episode saying, like, oh, it's the movies where cars blow up or whatever. It's like, well, no, there's actually more to it than that. Like, there's, as silly as these movies can get, there is something deep and profound and meaningful and whatever here, and it's, worth talking about.
Exactly.
So shout out to definitely none of our fans, none of our listeners who ever told us to watch Icons on Earth, but I'm glad that we did.
Yeah, I'm glad you discovered it and decided that we should watch it. That was a good choice by you.
There will not be a TV recap next episode. We'll just talk about minute 101, which kicks off into the credits. So it's very exciting. It's a real turning point for the podcast. Ending Icons on Earth, and also next week or next episode, not Next Life on the Fast Lane, starting the credits for Too Fast, Too Furious. Joe, we have, speaking of those people who definitely did not tell us to watch this, we have a Patreon page, Too Fast, TooForever.com. Shout out to Cassie Wilson, Nick Burris, Alex Ellen, and Justin Kleinman, Brian Rodriguez of High School Slumber Party, Wes Hampton, Jerry Robinson, Dan the Duke, Hayden Renato DiDonato, Michael McGann, Lane Middleton, Lindsay Lewandowski, Nate Milton of the Kings of Sport, Jason Rainey, Tom Price, Mike Galler, Josh Buckley of Whole Lot of Wolves,
Yep.
Michael Moser, Christian Larson, Taryn Newone, Aaron Willows, Natalie Absolute, Randy Carter, Josh Gularm, and Jessica Collins, a.k.a.
Montez.
Thank you all for supporting us at the $5 a month level or above. If you want your name in that list or in the episode descriptions, TooFast2Forever.com. Go there, get movie picks for what we're doing. We are about to kick off a stretch of basically 2 bonus episodes a month for the rest of the lap, at least. Maybe, honestly, we have enough people at that tier. Like, it's 2 bonus episodes a month kind of forever.
Pretty much, yeah.
And we've got like 55 bonus episodes already, so TooFast2Forever.com. Even $1 a month gets you in the door. Go do that thing. We also have an email address, family@CagedClothing. And Joe, no emails today. Very sad.
Sad mail day. It's okay.
It's okay. We'll get them next time. And we have a store at cageclub.me/shop. A Joe, extracurricular activities. Let's close up the episode. What have you been up to in the last 3 weeks?
Watching a lot of different stuff.
How many of the Oscar movies did you wind up watching of the Best Picture?
I don't
nominees?
remember. I have the list downstairs. I don't.
Would you say more than half of the 10 or less?
At
than
least half of the
Okay.
10. Yeah. Yeah, we watched the Oscars. Cool. What else? Oh, recently we watched the Nickelodeon All Quiet on Set.
The 1999 podcast did a very special episode about that show.
Oh, did they?
I did not listen to it, but yes, they've done that. It seems like a thing that I don't need to see because it sounds depressing.
I mean, I don't know. I think do you remember all that? Did you watch all that?
I did watch all that. Why is this like largely about Dan Schneider?
It's all about Dan Schneider and him being a fuck.
Yeah.
It was interesting for me in some senses, but I also didn't grow up with like iCarly or like Sweet Life or like
No,
any of
I
those
never
things.
watched a single episode of
and
any
it
of that. Yep.
continues on into that, right?
Okay.
It's like all that into the Amanda Show that I was like, oh, I remember these things, and then it continues on, and I don't know past this, right? So the main thing that I didn't remember is like it was all like sexual feet stuff and cum shot jokes, like the entire fucking like all the shows, all the things. It's just that over and over and over again. So weird and creepy.
Well, we talked about this before. Like, what's so wild about not about the sex stuff and the dark stuff, but like about like Nickelodeon shows is that like a year or two means like you could be completely out on. Like, I never watched the Amanda Show. Like, I remember Amanda
Yes, that's what I'm
Bynes from
saying.
all that, but like even the Amanda Show, I never watched. My sister probably did, but then like she's 3 years
So
younger.
like
but
my
then,
sister like watched like Zoe 101 that was like
Nope.
Britney Spears' little sister, and I'm like, I would have never seen this.
Nope.
And like I didn't even see it then. It was just like in passing while she was, you know what I mean, kind of situation. So yeah, it was interesting, but I don't know, like I was only into the beginning, like I only remember the beginning stuff. So Drake and Josh, right? That's like a big part of it. And like these are just like things that I don't remember. So it was interesting to me. I mean, not interesting because it's good. It is kind of depressing and things like that.
Right.
But it was interesting. What else? We've been watching like Deal or No Deal Island, which is like a combination of
Wait,
like
what is that?
Deal or No Deal Island.
What does that mean?
It's Deal or No Deal, but then there's also like Survivor style challenges.
Really?
And they had like Rob from Survivor on it, and like some people we know, some people we didn't. Like at the end of a challenge set, I don't know. We watch it kind of drunk. They like nominate someone, they play Deal or No Deal, and then like if you get a bad deal, like if you settle for less than what's in your case, you get thrown out. And if you don't, you stay. I don't know. It's dumb. We've been watching that. We made it through into or through season 4 of Mad Men and during our chores. That was wild. To alternate in between there for more brain mush, we started Vanderpump Rules from the beginning, which is also wild. So we've just been watching trash. The Penguins suck, so I mean they win some games, but they look like trash, and then now they let the kids play. Whatever. They're not gonna make the playoffs, so like fuck them. I'm all in on the Steelers. Hey, can we talk about the fucking Steelers, bro?
We can talk about the Steelers.
I got Mr. Unlimited as my quarterback in the last 3 weeks.
That's Russell Wilson for people who don't know. I don't know that I mean, but I know that he's the quarterback.
Oh, you never seen this video?
No.
Oh my! He has a video that he says, I think I found my alter ego, and he is Mr. Unlimited.
Sweet.
Yeah, and he talks about like, who do you believe in? Mr. Unlimited. And then he has like Sierra in the background, like also playing into this skit that he shot in his. It's very strange.
Okay.
Anyways, Russell Wilson was my quarterback, and I was getting on board with that. We shipped small hands, Kenny Pickett, kick his ass out, go to Philadelphia, eat batteries, you fuck. We throw him out. And
But
then
how
we
do
get
you
Justin,
really feel?
like he's a small-handed fuck. Then we get Justin Fields from the fucking Bears for a sixth round, a conditional 6th round pick. Incredible, fleeced. The con man strikes again.
You guys have so many quarterbacks, and we have none.
Yeah, we have 2 starting quarterbacks.
And we
Which
have half of one.
Yeah, and you're gonna wind up with fucking Drake May or JJ McCarthy. I feel bad for you. I'm sorry. You're just getting other Kirk Cousins. Like you're just like, and then you're gonna sign Dak in a year, and you're just gonna have the other Kirk Cousins too. He's
And
just
we're going to
another
get
former.
Aaron Rodgers in 2 years, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're just working on that. And then the Steelers got like Patrick Queen, whatever. Steelers are doing great. They're going to win the Super Bowl. I already have my tickets in. Odds have changed. I got them at 100-1. Book it now. It's only 60-1. You peasants that didn't believe earlier. Fine. Con man strikes. Doing that. F1 season has started. It's been fun. Ferrari won the last race, 1 and 2. Fuck Max Verstappen 2. He can go eat batteries with Kenny Pickett in Philadelphia. I think that's pretty much what I've been up to. How about you? Sorry.
That was probably the most chaotic extracurricular activities in months.
Why?
I don't know. It just wasn't about you. It was just about you telling people to go fuck off, basically.
Yeah, people that won't hear it.
Yeah.
And Kenny, so there was a rumor that Kenny Pickett got the like second, third string tight ends, Zach Gentry on the Steelers, kicked out of the Steelers because he had slept with his wife, and everybody was like, "Good, bring Zach Gentry back now." Like as soon as he's gone. So it's been a wild ride. It's been a lot of fun. Pittsburgh has been fun. Pittsburgh radio has been fun. Pat McAfee show, Tone Diggs on Pat McAfee show thanked the Bears GM yesterday for doing trades with Omar Khan to his face. He was like, "Hey, thanks for doing trades with Omar," and he was like, "Huh," and like walked off. Like
Wild.
It's been a fun time. I'm in a good sports mood with my optimism for.
Well, also because baseball starts tomorrow, baby.
Baseball starts tomorrow. The Pirates have Paul Skeens. O'Neal Cruz has been cranking homers in spring training.
He was leading all of spring training with home runs, I think, at one point.
He was. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, like, we got about, 2 weeks before the Pirates are out of the playoffs. This is the best part of baseball season for me. Like, we don't have a losing record yet. It's awesome. Tomorrow is the day.
Full of hope, optimism.
If you can't be optimistic about your team, what can you do, right? Then don't fucking watch sports. I know a bunch of people and friends that watch sports and they're just miserable watching sports, angry at their team, and I'm like, that's no fun.
Yeah.
Like, why would you do that? So
yeah.
Enjoy life.
Speaking of baseball, we had our fantasy baseball draft this past weekend, so we got another.
Did you go to the thing? Did you go to the Russian bathhouse or no?
No, we got a house in the Poconos. This was the first time since 2019 that every manager was there. Every person in our league was there.
Oh, very cool.
Because,
awesome, dude.
So in 2020, right before COVID, one of the guys in our league, his wife was about to have their first kid. And
I think I remember this, actually.
He's like, she's due at the end of March. And we're like, cool, we'll draft in February. That's not a problem. So we drafted the end of February, and of course, she goes into early labor.
Yep, of course.
And
absolutely.
So he FaceTimes in from the hospital, like I draft for him, or he texting me picks or whatever. But we made that work, but we had 11 people of the 12. And then luckily we had drafted in February because 3 weeks later the world shut down and we wouldn't have been able to draft in person at all.
Amen.
And then the year after, half the people hadn't been vaccinated yet, so they weren't comfortable going there. And then I think once the jar had sort of been open or whatever, once that started, I think it became, there's other people who just didn't really care as much. 2 of those people are no longer in the league.
That's awesome. So, good. Fuck them. They can go eat batteries with Kenny Pickett.
Except one of them wants back in now. So it's like, well, dude, you just quit.
Well, fuck them. Go eat batteries with Kenny Pickett.
So we had 12 people, all there on Saturday. We had 7 on Friday night. We had 8 or 9 on Sunday morning for breakfast at a diner. Not brunch, that seems fancy, but breakfast at a diner. But it was great. We had a really good time. The house was beautiful. There was a bathhouse. Not a bathhouse. There was a sauna. Steam room in the little pool house outside next to the hot tub. So that was good. That got use. We played NBA Jam on Super Nintendo. We had our draft. It was just a good time. One of the best weekends of the year, every year. Just so much fun. The weekend before that, Margaret and I tried this. So my barber...
The Barber of Seville.
See, you love musicals.
I only know that from The Office, but go ahead.
My barber was talking to me. He was saying, what have you been up to since, every 3 or 4 weeks ago, get my hair buzzed. And he was like, what have you been up to? And I was like, oh, my girlfriend and I went away. We talked about this. I told him about the hotel we went to. He's just like, oh, so now I know what kind of things she likes, which is, fancy things. I know what to recommend. He recommended this restaurant that we checked out. It's this place in... oh boy, Boonton, New Jersey, which is about half an hour from me.
Okay.
But it's this place called Ombra, Ombra, and they basically just do charcuterie boards, that's their thing.
Charcuteries.
And so we had a couple crostinis, they have a bunch of crostinis at the beginning. Our favorite thing, we both had our favorite thing, which was They made like this little like bruschetta style like crostini like on a little like toasty piece of bread, but they had like an Italian sub like that. Like they had like
What does
I
that
don't know.
mean?
So they had
Like capicola,
but it wasn't, like,
gabagool.
but it was all like a little like meat paste, which sounds disgusting, but it was like all of that plus like the spicy peppers on top, and it was
Very cool.
so good. And
Awesome, dude.
That was our favorite thing. And then we had the charcuterie board for dinner, and then we had a dessert, so that was very nice. So shout out to my barber for recommending that, but just trying different restaurants, which is cool. Before the Oscars, the day of the Oscars, I watched The Holdover. So I saw all Best Picture nominees.
Cool. Okay.
I really like that one. But one of my favorite movies from last year, and I think I recommended this to Bob, and he watched it, but our friend Kate, who does Film Club with us, picked a couple weeks ago in Oscars month this movie called The Teacher's Lounge, which was nominated for Best Foreign Language Film.
Okay.
It's so good. It's so tense. It's so nerve-wracking. It's the kind of like a did they, didn't they about
Oh, I like that. That's
theft.
fun. Oh, interesting. Okay, The Teacher's Lounge.
When one of her students is suspected of theft, this teacher, the main character, decides to get to the bottom of the matter. Caught between her ideals and the school system, the consequences of her actions threaten to break her. And it was very tense, very good. Like one of the best movies I saw last year. I loved that. It lost the zone of interest for foreign.
It's a
international
lot.
film.
It sounds a lot like the Brendan Fraser movie that we covered for this podcast.
Oh, School Ties?
School Ties. Yeah,
Yes.
it sounds a lot like
About
School
cheating
Ties.
in
It's probably
schools.
exactly.
So many movies we cover with Brian that we're going to record a bonus episode with Brian, kicking off the bonus episodes.
And I
for
have
this
fucking
lab.
thoughts. I have thoughts, and Rachel has thoughts at this point.
You said, I assume this is a movie that Brian picked, and I was like, uh-huh. Like, could you tell from the cross-country running or the lesbian sex or the...
I don't know if Brian Suppressor
Profound nudity.
if he thinks that I am, but one of these must be true. Anyways, I have thoughts. Well,
We will
you'll
talk
hear the
about
episode.
Personal
Yeah.
Best in mid-April. Come back to the Patreon for that. I saw Love Lies Bleeding in theaters, which is the Kristen Stewart movie.
Did you see Imaginary, by the way?
No, it's bad. It's supposedly bad.
That doesn't stop me. But...
Well, like Night Swim, I waited for VOD, and it was bad.
Oh, we were so excited for Night Swim too.
It's-
Fuck. Okay.
Bad.
Okay.
But Wyatt Russell, Kurt Russell's kid, plays for like they got the rights to use the Brewers logo, which is weird. Just like you actually were like, it wasn't just like I was a baseball player. Like, no, I used to play third base for the Brewers. It's like, why did you? How? What?
Yeah, interesting choice. We don't see that much anymore either. You know what I mean? Like it's usually like I played third base for the.
For the Dragons or whatever.
Yeah.
But I watched Love Lies Bleeding, which is a Kristen Stewart movie, and I love the first half so much, and then like it makes this twist in the second half and goes into like kind of magical realism, and like I think every single thing the movie does in the second half, I'm just like, nope.
Not for me.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Dumb. What? Like the
Okay.
first half of this movie, I was just like, this could be one of my favorite movies of the year. Like it's so tense, it's so good, it's so moody, it's shot so well, and then everything in the back half, I'm just like,
Falls
what the
apart.
fuck is going on in this movie?
I love that.
And I
Awesome.
think it's a kind of a crazy movie where like I think if you're watching it at a packed theater, you'd have a really fun time. But I watched it in like a kind of crowded theater, and not people weren't reacting, but like a couple times this one girl was just like, what? But she was like the only one reacting, so I'm like, okay. Then, importantly, back in theaters for one night only, I was sending you some pictures. I saw past episode of this show. I saw Rad in theaters.
That's fucking sick. That's so cool, dude. I was just pitching Rad to people
It's the
that
best.
I work with. Yeah, go ass sliding, man.
What I wouldn't give to go ass sliding with you right now. But like that theater, it was a small theater, but that theater was every seat was sold, and no one reacted to the movie. I'm like, why are you here watching a 40-year-old movie and not like laughing or clapping or cheering or whatever?
That's so lame. That's
It was so
lame.
weird. The guy next to me was like saying some comments quietly to himself. I'm like, you don't need to be doing that, guy. But like no one was cheering. Like I was laughing along, and I was like, this is ass sliding. I was like, yeah, and then like. No, I was like, why are you here? What are you doing? It's very strange.
All the people that want to talk during movies save it for like A Quiet Place. They all went to go see A Quiet Place back in theaters, so they could just not shut the fuck up and play on their phones during the movie. I
Truly
hate
insane.
people.
But
I hate people.
It was cool to see Rad in theaters. Truly, genuinely one of my favorite movies. We talked about it on here. I covered it on Brian's podcast, but I loved it so much. And there's a bunch of movies in theaters now that I want to see that I just haven't gotten a chance to see. I really want to see Problemista, which is the new Julio Torres movie with Tilda Swinton. That I think is going to be really good. That's in like indie theaters, kind of not super close to me. I want to go there. The new Godzilla vs. Kong thing comes out this weekend, which I'm not super excited about, but I'll probably see it at some point.
Don't tell Mike.
He didn't even get to see Dream Scenario in theaters. He didn't see Godzilla -1 in theaters. He was missing out.
Are we positive that Mike Straub isn't getting tattoos? I'm jealous. That was purely out of jealousy, but like, it's unclear.
He has explained to me that I think they have like when they have like younger learning people like learning how to get tattoos.
Learned doctors.
I think he just like maybe gives himself up as like a canvas. I think they just like need people to practice on, and like he just
yeah. No, yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah, that's pretty cool though. You get tattoos, right?
I mean, look, like I got a job at Best Buy because I'm like the employee discount here
is sick.
Is what I want to buy. I want to buy computer stuff, and I want to buy video games, and I want to buy movies, and I want to buy whatever. Mike is like, I want to spend my money on tattoos.
That's totally respectable, dude. I do the exact same type of shit, except I have a different job that just supports the shit that I want.
You're like, I want to buy $40,000 refrigerators.
Oh yeah, I no, but that's for work. That's literally for work.
I know.
Yeah. Told this company to go fuck themselves the other day. That was pretty fun. They sent me the VP of global sales, and I told them that they all sucked down the line.
Love it.
And I told them I knew why their company was going bankrupt because I hated everyone there to their face. Came off pretty good. Worked well. My boss was not happy, and I said, they asked me to be honest. I don't know what you want from me, so that's what I told them.
So 2 other very quick updates. Number 1, the next season of How to Win the Lottery, which starts in April, because we are currently going through the Kentucky module right now, but spoilers, the next module is going to be eco-themed, and the episode that Bob and I most recently recorded is about a book that is one of our both of our favorite books. Not Biodome. The Overstory by Richard Powers is one of the best books I've ever read, and we covered that for the second episode of the 9th season. That comes out in mid-May, so check out The Overstory by Richard Powers. It's easy to read. It's like 500 pages, but it's easy to read. It's truly one of the best books we've ever read. We covered that, which was very good. Cool. And then I played this video game called Brotato, which is a pretty dumb but pretty fun name, and it's just like a twin stick shooter where like there's a bunch of enemies trying to get you, and you try to shoot them and not die, and there's like 60 characters, and I beat the game with all of them. It's free on Game Pass, so nice. There's the final one took me so fucking long. Got me so fucking angry, but I did it. So now I'm off Brotato.
Congratulations!
And I'm going to finally return to Shadow of the Colossus, which Wes is very excited about because one of his favorite games. We talked about that a little bit. I was like, because I played a little bit. I'm like, Wes, can you explain how to use the controls? Because like the controls are like really jank and really messy. He's like, yeah, it's kind of an issue. But he explained like how to do this thing. I'm like, okay, cool. So get back on that. But I think that's basically been it.
Friday, we are starting our first, I don't know what the fuck you call it because I've never done this before, our first chapter, our first race.
The first campaign.
First campaign of Terra's Dungeons & Dragons themed, Fast and Furious themed Dungeons & Dragons campaign.
Very exciting.
So I am very, very excited, and that is your announcement. If you're a patron and you hear this early and you would like to join the fucking Discord, and then you can join in or watch and catch up or whatever. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else to say in this episode before we close up shop?
I cannot wait to ask Brian why the fuck he picked this movie in an hour and a half.
Well, we will talk about that in a few weeks. That is our bonus episode. Our next episode on the main feed is Fast and Furious number 4. I'm also going to, I hope they watch it. I don't know if they're going to or not, but I'm going to rewatch Los Bandoleros for that.
Oh, yeah, I will too. I saw that you put that in your notes for me. Mm-hmm. In my homework assignments for me. So I will also rewatch Los Bandoleros.
Yes. So that'll be next Tuesday with Walt and Kim joining. And then, our first bonus episode for Lap 14 will be Personal Best with Brian. That's at toofast2forever.com. But for all things Too Fast, Too Forever, go to cageclub.me, facebook.com/toofast2forever, or at toofast2forever on every platform. Email us, family@cageclub.me. Check out our Patreon page at toofast2forever.com and our store at cageclub.me/shop. And come back next week for Fast and Furious number 4 and also Lo Bandolero. I'm Joey Lewandowski,
I'm Joe too.
and we will tell you all about it
When we see you again.